Hi, Ashley Latter here, talking to you a little bit more about ethical sales. So in the previous video, I looked at 4 steps to a perfect consultation. We build rapport with the right type of patients. We ask questions to find out what their problems are. The third one, we solve them in a language that the patient hopefully understands. And the fourth one is what I call the commitment step. So let's look at this most important step of them all, and that's building rapport with the right type of patient. If you've ever read my book, Don't Wait for the Tooth Fairy, you may have read this story, but this happened many years ago. In fact, about 15 years ago. So a friend of mine who's a builder asked me if I would help him finance a house where he would do all the building work, do all the renovations, then hopefully we'll sell the house and make a profit on the property. So I went to look at the house. It was a great deal, and I needed to borrow £150,000 very quickly from a bank to finance this house deal. So I contacted 2 banks. First bank came to see me. This was my existing bank. They'd been my bankers now for about 15 years at the time, and they came in to see me in my office. We had a little chit chat, and then after about 4 minutes, one of the ladies, was 2 of them at the time, turned round to me and said, "Tell me, Mr. Latter, what do you do for a living?" Well, I said, "Well, don't you know, you are my bankers." And they said, no, we're not your bankers, we're like commercial bankers. So basically, in short, they hadn't done their research. They came to see me, and after 4 minutes of this meeting, I'd more or less decided that they probably would not be lending me the money, because they came to me, they didn't know what I did. Now, about 2 hours later, the second bank that came to see me, and this is the new bank, a guy called Brian. Brian came to see me, came into my office, complimented me on how the office looked and what a beautiful building I was in, and then started to turn around and said, "Hope you don't mind, I looked at your website last night. Congratulations, what a great website you've got. How did you get involved in working with dentists?" And I was telling him and how I started and everything else. And after about 15 minutes of rapport building, we then got into the business side. And after about 15 minutes of that meeting, I decided that Brian was going to be my bank and hopefully lend me the money. And that's exactly what happened. And about 10 years later, we had an amazing relationship. Unfortunately, he left the bank and someone else replaced. So what 2 lessons or can you take away from here? What's the 2 best ways I know of building rapport with people? Well, the first one is to become genuinely interested in people. And when you become genuinely interested in your patient or your client, they become genuinely interested in you. So you've got to have this burning desire to build rapport, connect with the patient, because if you've got great rapport, that builds amazing trust. The second thing, if you can do this and do this really well and be sincere, is if you can pay your patient a compliment, just like Brian did when he came to my building. He complimented me on how beautiful my building looked. He complimented me on my website and congratulated me on the business that I'd done with dentists. And if you can pay your patient a compliment and do it sincerely and you're genuine, then that also builds great rapport. So 2 best ways I know of building rapport. Number 1 is become genuinely interested in your client. And number 2 is pay your patient a compliment. Do it sincerely and genuine. If you do those 2 things, you should have amazing rapport with your patient. Hope this has been useful.